let's talk about how you add fun in your life. Let me start by giving you an example of a story from last summer. Now, y'all, I gotta tell you, I am an Enneagram 8 wing 7, which means if you know anything about the Enneagram, like the 7 in me is like super fun. I love to have fun. I love spontaneity. I love adventure. I love laughter. I love play. So everything in my DNA really points to fun. So when my birthday comes around, because you know Enneagram 7s love birthdays, anyone's birthday, but especially their own, I start dreaming and thinking about what I want to do for my birthday. Well, considering the fact that I have been pregnant for 3 of the last 6 birthdays, I was pretty excited last year to not be pregnant and just think about what do I want to do. Obviously, it was a weird year, so you have to get creative when you're going to have fun. But I thought, what if we went to the lake with just our friends and no kids? Yeah, that sounds fun to me. We never do that. I don't know about you guys, but one of the things I really struggle with is I have a hard time making time for friends with no kids. Now, do we get our families together? Sure, me and my husband and our kids and lots of our friends and their whole families, we all get together and play. We'll have picnics or go to dinner or whatever. But we don't often get together just as adults, me and my husband and other couples or other friends or so on. And so I thought, that's what I want for my birthday. I want to have a couple couples come down to the lake and us just play like kids. We can water ski, we can jump off the cliffs, we can stay up late, we can stay out on the water during nap time. Imagine that. We don't have to worry about snacks, we don't have to worry about diapers, we don't have to worry about anything. What if we just went down there and just played and tubed and acted like kids ourselves? So I asked some of my friends, I sent a text out like, hey guys, all I want for my birthday is for us to be together. Can we make it happen? And y'all, I want you to know that we did. One weekend last summer, a couple of friends of mine came down to the lake. It was a couple different couples. Some of my good friends and their husbands came down to the lake, and y'all, we had an absolute blast. We went tubing where my husband was actually driving the boat, and me and 2 of my friends were on the tubes. So it's one of those 3-person lay on tubes where you're like, holding on to the handles. And I gotta be honest, I was a little nervous that my husband, who's very sweet, would just take it too easy on us. So I was like, I really hope Matt really tries to throw us, because that's what's fun, right? So I was like, Matt, really go for it. I'm yelling back from the tube. I'm really go for it. Don't take it easy. Y'all, I want you to know that man threw me off within the first 2 seconds. I didn't have a prayer of hanging on. And then about 5 seconds later, we get back on, we try again. At one point, I remember hanging onto the side of the tube for dear life, trying to suction my body to it because there was nothing of the tube that I was actually on. And I remember the last thing I saw as I went flying off was my friend Sarah flying through the air. And she goes, I'm so sorry, as she landed directly on top of me. It sounds very dangerous now that I'm saying this out loud, but y'all, it was so fun. We were silly, we were playful, we were uninhibited. We weren't worried about being grown-ups and being responsible for our kids. We just played. I laughed more that weekend than I have in a long time. I laughed until my abs hurt from just being so silly. We had so much fun. Now, was that weekend just a complete fluke? Like a coincidence that we had so much fun, or an accident, it was just one of those magical weekends where it was just can't recreate it, because it's just one of those times. No. I think that what we did that made that weekend so fun is actually something we can do again, and it's actually something you can do. It's a process you can repeat, that you can duplicate to intentionally create fun in your life. So let's look at what we did that made that weekend so fun, okay? Because I think that this formula, if you will, and formulas don't sound fun, but if they create fun, because when you got a lot of kids, you need a plan and a process to get there, then sure, let's just follow these steps, okay? Step number 1 that we did that made that possible, we put it on the calendar. If something is not on the calendar, it's not gonna happen, right? If you're waiting until there's time left over to work out, to have some alone time, to do that hobby, to spend time with friends, to go catch up with whoever, if you're waiting until there's time left over, you're basically saying this is never gonna happen, right? Let's just be honest. That's what you're saying. If you're saying, when I have time left over, I'll do that, you might as well say, I'm never gonna do that. Because there's never, ever time left over. So if something is important to you, like fun can be and should be, I would argue, in your one life you get on this earth, then it has to make it on the calendar if it's actually going to happen. Think about this in your own life. When you've been talking with friends or anyone that you're making plans with, it's all a conversation until someone buys a ticket, right? It's all just a conversation until someone buys a plane ticket, buys a concert ticket, or puts it on the calendar. There's some commitment that is made. There's some skin in the game. There's some commitment that says we are actually doing this. It's not a hypothetical. It's not just a fun conversation. It's not just a text chain that we're going to forget about it anymore. It's, hey, I made a reservation. See you guys Thursday night at 7. When you actually put it on the calendar, when you actually make a commitment to that thing that's going to be fun, it's much more likely to happen. For example, and I've told many of you all this story before, but whenever Annie F. Downs, Rachel Cruz, and I went to Vegas, none of us had ever been to Vegas. We were so excited to go and just like see Vegas. And we'd been dreaming about it, talking about it, texting about it, all the things. But when I bought a flight, I was like, okay, we're in for this weekend. Y'all are good? They said, we're good. I went on southwest.com. I bought a plane ticket, took a screenshot and sent it to them. And it was like, oh, game on. We're really doing this. And you know what? We really did. But it all started because we put it on the calendar and actually made it happen. So what does that look like for you? Maybe you've been waiting to have some time left over to have fun, but because you never have time left over, you never have any fun. The first thing you can do is simply put it on the calendar. Make a commitment to that thing, whether it's dinner or Vegas or going to the lake or just hanging out with your friends for no reason at all. Put it on the calendar, and it's much more likely to happen when you have a really busy life. It has to make it in. The second thing, and this one is specific to those of you all that are parents, you need to get some childcare. Oh. Now, I know this is easier said than done. I realize that. And I realize everyone doesn't have help. They don't have family. But y'all, there are so many creative options of how you can get the help you need to have the fun that you deserve to have in your one life. One of the reasons we had so much fun that weekend is because we had a break from our kids. Now, we love our kids. I love my kids. I love my kids. I also love some time without my kids. I love to be able to sleep in. I love to not be yelled at for snacks all day. Like, you need that. If you're a parent, especially if you're a parent of little kids, get childcare in order to have some fun without your kids. I know you have fun with your kids. I do too. I get that. But you need to have some adult time. Adult time, whether it's with your spouse or just with your friends or with both, with other couples where you get to be with your spouse and your friends. You need time without your kids to recharge, to let loose. Because let's be honest, you can't really relax when you're on duty with your kids, can you? You can't really let loose and relax when you're responsible for other human lives. And you shouldn't. You're their parent. That's our job, right? But what's so great is you can find creative options. So maybe you hire a babysitter if that's in your budget. But if it's not, y'all, I have 2 friends that they trade babysitting nights. They're friends, and one friend will watch the other friend's kids while this couple goes out to dinner, and then they trade the next weekend. This friend watches both sets of kids while this couple goes out to dinner, and they never have to pay any money for childcare. Maybe you can trade or barter. I know a lot of churches have resources for parents and especially single parents to get you the help you need to get a much needed break. So the second thing that made that weekend so fun was we had help in childcare and we were able to be alone, be adults without our kids. The third thing that made this particularly fun is that we just played. We were just silly. We did what was fun for us. So what's fun for you? Like, what sounds fun to you? When you think about what recharges your batteries, what gives you energy, what brings you joy, what sounds awesome. For someone, maybe it's joining a book club and having some quiet time and discussing in depth some really deep books, some philosophical book. That's fun to them. For someone else, it is being wild and crazy on a tube. For someone else, it's traveling. For someone else, it is taking up a new hobby. It can be anything, but it's what's specific to you. What sounds fun to you? What brings you joy? What makes you happy? You know, I think a lot of times we have this idea that we are so responsible and we're such grown-ups and we have to, do all the right things, that we're so busy doing all the right things and being responsible grown-ups that we just forget how important it is to have fun, to just have fun. You get one life. You should enjoy this one life you get on this earth. And so put it on the calendar, get help with childcare, and do what sounds fun to you. Because I promise you this, and this is me being a big sister, some tough love for you, but if you don't make any time for fun in your life, you're not any fun to be around. Make time for fun so you actually enjoy this one life you've been given.